Welcome back to another episode of Dinner with the Garvins. Tonight we are going to make chicken marsala. Chicken marsala is an Italian-American dish with mushrooms, a dark brown rich gravy, and start off with mushrooms. I've got a combination of button and creminis, so we're going to just slice those up. I've got white mushrooms and creminis here. We like a little mixture of both. You can slice them as fine as you want, as thick as you want. There's really no general rule of thumb of how thick you like the texture. Alright, with chicken breasts, when you buy a chicken breast, you notice that it's always thick on one side and a little thinner on the other side. Problem with that is by the time this is cooked, this is about 3/4 up is going to be dried out. So what I like to do is I like to take them and split them in half, take your time, and then I'll clean them up. If there's any cartilage on the back, a little of this fat here, nobody likes to chew into that. The one thing I would like to add about chicken marsala is it's very pocket friendly. It's a quick, easy meal. Something like this, and especially like your chicken, you can do this the night before, prep it out, pound it out, and it'll be ready for you the next day for dinner. Now chicken breasts, I've already split them in half. What I like to do too is just take a little plastic wrap. And the idea here isn't just to make mincemeat out of it. You want to just pound it lightly to make sure it's even, so it cooks quicker and it cooks more even. But that's all you're looking for, just enough to flatten it out. Same thing with this one. I'll just cover it with plastic and just lightly pound it out. And whenever you're dealing with raw chicken, obviously you want to make sure you're washing your hands after every time you're going to grab something else. You don't want to cross-contaminate anything. And that's it. These will cook a lot quicker than that thicker piece, and they'll cook more even. Okay, we have our chicken all prepped. Like I said, this is something you could do the night before. But now I'm going to make a dredge. I'm just going to use a little flour. Maybe you don't need a lot. All you're doing is dredging this. You're not making a batter or anything else. So I'm just going to do 1/3 of a cup here. That's all you need. And then I'm going to season that with some cracked pepper. I like to put a little paprika in there for color, and it gives it a little smokiness, a little flavor to it. I'm going to do a little salt and a little garlic powder. But that's it. That's your dredge. And after we're done dredging that, I'm going to show you, I'm going to save this flour to thicken up the sauce a little later. Alright, I've got a pan heating up already on the back. I'm going to add just a little butter to it, maybe 2 tablespoons.
Couple tablespoons.
And then I'm going to add some oil. Now why I do the combo is the butter is for the flavor. But if you don't add the oil, that butter is going to burn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chicken, still got a little butter on the tongs if that's okay. I'm going to dredge in that flour mix I made. And again, we're not looking for a batter here, we're just looking for a nice coat. Just set it in there. And whenever you're putting something in a pan with hot oil, hot grease, you always want to lay it away from you. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like when you're putting it in here, you go away from yourself, because then you don't risk splattering yourself. This pan I've got probably about medium high. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Just don't be afraid to get that pan hot. Because again, these things are going to cook so fast that you don't have to worry about burning. So it's been about 3 minutes on each side. So I'm flipping them over now. You're getting that nice little brown on there. That's what you're looking for. So I'm going to let these go for maybe 2-3 minutes on this side. And I'm not looking to cook them all the way through. Probably about 3/4, because I'm going to set them aside as we make our sauce. And another thing I like to talk about with this dish is I like to say that this is my one-pot dish. I do everything in this same skillet, except if you want a side. And this would be great with pasta, rice, roasted potatoes, but everything is going to be done in this same pan. Okay, I'm starting my second batch now. You have to do this in stages here, and that's fine. But like I told you earlier, I'm going to save whatever flour is left in here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to utilize this because it's already seasoned. I'm going to use this to thicken up my sauce. We're going to let this go about 2 minutes per side. Brown them off, and I don't know if you can see these, but you're looking for that nice brown color. Alright, I got my chicken set aside, and again it's cooked about 2/3 through. I don't want to cook it all the way through because it's going to finish in the sauce. Now this down here, all this brown bits, that's called fond. You want that. So this little bit of oil I have left, I'm going to start my mushrooms. A little trick I like to do, we don't cook with a lot of garlic, but we like the flavor. I'll just put a couple whole cloves in there. I'm going to start letting them brown off a little bit. You don't want to burn them. But what that's going to do is it's going to flavor the oil with the garlic without having the actual garlic in the dish. Alright, I got my garlic browned off, so it's flavored that oil. So I'm going to take these out. Because again, we don't cook with a lot of garlic. We like the flavor, but we don't actually like the garlic in there. But in the same dish, I'm going to add my mushrooms. And I'm going to start browning those off. But in every layer, you want to season every layer. So I'm going to add a little salt to this, a little cracked pepper. We're going to let those go, let them get soft. And if you need to add a little more oil, go ahead, because these mushrooms are like a sponge, so they're going to suck that up right away. So I'm going to add just a little more oil. Maybe a good tablespoon. Alright, I got my mushrooms pretty well browned off to where I want them. Now, that flour I keep talking about, I'm going to add a little of that flour in there. And that's going to help thicken up your sauce. And the idea behind this flour too is you want to cook it out. You don't want that raw flavor of flour in there. So I'm going to cook this out for a little bit. And then we're going to deglaze it with a dry Marsala wine and chicken stock. Alright, so I got that flour cooked out. I don't really measure a lot, but what I'm going to do is a 2-to-1 ratio. I'm going to do 1 part of dry Marsala wine. I'm not really concerned about the brand. It's just, you know, whatever you can grab. I'm going to do 1 cup of that. And keep mixing that. You don't want clumps because of that flour, but you want to scrape off all that fond on the bottom, all those bits and pieces from cooking that chicken out. And you can see already it's starting to thicken up right away. Now I happen to have some homemade chicken stock here. If you don't have chicken stock, the box is perfectly fine. I'm going to measure this out because I'm going to do 2-to-1. I'm going to do 2 cups of chicken broth now. And again, depend on how much gravy you want. I've got 8 pieces of chicken there, so we like a lot of gravy. So I got 2 cups of homemade chicken stock here. I'm going to put that in there. We're going to give it a good stir. Check for flavor. Again, you want to check every level, every time. You don't want to check it when you're ready to eat. You want to do every layer. Alright, so I did check for flavor, I checked for seasoning, and honestly it does not need anything. So I'm just going to let this reduce a little bit. You want to cook that wine out, so you're concentrating that flavor of the wine, so you're reducing it out, but it's going to concentrate that flavor. So I'm going to let this reduce. The more you let it reduce, the more concentrated it's going to be, the thicker it's going to become. So I'm going to let this go for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to add my chicken back to it. Whatever drippings on that plate is going to go in there, and we're going to finish it off. Alright, so I've let this simmer down for about 5 minutes now. You can see that it's starting to thicken up even more. Now again, because I breaded that chicken, that flour on that chicken is going to thicken it up even more. So when you're done, if you find yourself that it got too thick on you, add a little more chicken stock. But I'm going to add these in there and we're going to finish this off. In the meantime, I got a pot of water going back there. We're going to cook a little pasta for the side. And by the time that pasta's done, 10 minutes, we'll be ready to eat. Alright, we're ready. By the time the pasta was done, this is thickened up a little more. Everything's cooked through, so we're going to plate. I made a little rigatonis for the side. Plate up however you want. Again, roasted potatoes is great with this. Rice, obviously pasta. And for this video, I'm going to have Matthew sneak in here and get a little taste test. Put a little gravy on top.
Hello, hello. It's looking real good.
We're going to finish it with a little parsley without splashing the plate.
We like our parsley.
You don't like splashing the plate?
We're going to finish with a little pecorino romano.
Would you look at that plate?
And that is it.
Alright, so
have a treat. Got a glass of wine here.
let's give it a good old try. Alright. Chicken's perfectly tender. Pasta's nice and al dente. And the sauce is thick. It's really
Okay,
good.
get out of here.
Alright, cool.
But what about that mushroom?
But yeah, I mean,
No, get out of
you
here.
don't need a knife for this. That's why, again, that's why you pound them out. Number 1, it tenderizes it. Number 2, it cooks more even. So, hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back.